You talked about in your presser, you wanted, when you got here with the Bengals, you wanted to hold a high standard for the culture. How hard has it been?
It hasn't been hard necessarily. It's just making sure that the standards are understood in everything, not just on Sunday, but in practice, in the meeting rooms. And, we got the right leaders in place to where they're helping everybody come up to standard. And, it's going to help us do some great things here in the near future.
Being the quarterback's coach, heavily involved into the offense the previous 2 years when you were with the Rams, what has been the biggest change or surprise is becoming the head coach?
Well, you got to have your fingerprints on everything now. You got to pay attention to special teams, the defense, and the injuries used to just affect the quarterback room for me, and that rarely happened. And now
Right.
you got the whole spectrum of things. So it's fun. It's what you sign up for. It takes a lot of time and energy, but I'm glad to be in this position.
You and Sean McVay worked together previously for 2 years. What would you say would probably be the biggest thing that you learned from him that you continue to implement into what you do now with your Cincinnati Bengals?
Well, the culture, and just making sure that the players enjoy walking in the building every single day. They feel your energy, they feel your positivity. You still coach them hard, you're still critical of them. That doesn't change, but everyone loves being in the building. And you don't feel the grind of the season. You're excited to go through everything you go through, and I'd say the way that he brings everything to life with the offense, and so the players are always engaged in the meetings, and you always have their full attention.
You do know this, and I gotta say this. A lot of players spend their entire lives trying to win that Super Bowl. Even trying to get to the Super Bowl. I spent 15 years, never got it. You get guys who go into coaching and never get it. What was your experience like to say, you know what, I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, and we have an opportunity to win?
Yeah, you don't take that for granted, because I know some coaches who have coached a long time that never had
Right.
that opportunity. I was 6 years in and I got it. And so what you see is how hard it is to get there. You don't take it for granted. Those playoff games are hard to win. And, you got to have the right mindset as a team to be able to execute in the fourth quarter and get yourself to the Super Bowl. And I'm excited to get there again someday.
You playing against your old team, obviously, and I always believe this. When you know the personnel that you have, especially being with that team, you're able to provide valuable insight to your guys now who you're coaching. What has some of that insight been to be able, as far as not necessarily game plan strategy, but something that you can tell guys, little nuances that you saw every day that maybe you saw as a weakness that you can give on to your guys now?
Sure. I spend most weeks communicating personnel to our players, but this week, those players a little bit more in detail, and so you share the things you think might be helpful. You don't want to overthink it. You don't want to over-communicate it, because you don't want your players thinking about something they shouldn't be focused on. But the Rams have a lot of talented players, and so you can say a lot of things about talented players. Still got to go out there and stop them. But they got a good group.
When you talk about talented players, they got several Pro Bowlers. Some guys are injured, but the Jalen Ramsey pickup. You look at Aaron Donald up front. What problems do you see with Aaron Donald? Like, what makes him so good?
Well, he beats about every single one-on-one he ever gets, and he's relentless on every single play. It doesn't look like he ever gets tired. And so he's a force in the run game. He's a force in the protections. And then you got to do a great job securing him. But they got other dudes up front too that are problems as well. They got Brockers and Fowler and Ekuban and all those guys. So they got a good front.
The season hasn't went the way that you probably expected it for you to go. We hear cliches all the time. You got to finish strong. You got to focus in. You got to lock in to do this. Take us behind the mask of your thoughts of how do you continue to keep your team motivated, knowing that, guys, we still have an opportunity to do something great, even though the record may not reflect it at this moment.
Yeah, well, just make it clear, we shouldn't feel like an 0-7 team. We've been in these games in the fourth quarter. We had our opportunities we didn't take advantage of. It's just going to take that first win to get the ball rolling a little bit and get our guys back in that winning mindset. I'm confident that we'll get there.
At the beginning of the season, you made it clear your starting point as far as what you would do with the Cincinnati Bengals offense would be something similar to what you guys did in LA. Now that you're close halfway throughout the season, has that changed, or has you implemented any other things to be able to do what you want to do?
Yeah, I think you adapt to your personnel and you try to find yourself finding the best ways to give your guys a chance to move the ball and win games. And so just because something was great in the past, sometimes you got to be able to adapt, and our guys are catching on and getting better every single week.
Everybody wants to see A.J. Green play.
Yeah.
He's a talent, one of the best since he entered the league of what he does. How close is he to coming back to be able to join you guys?
He's close. His work ethic is second to none. He wants to be out there worse than anybody else, and we're going to make sure he's fully healthy before he gets out on the field. So unfortunately, it won't be this weekend, but hopefully it'll be in the very near future.
The other question is, with him being very close to coming back playing, a lot of trade rumors, speculations about him being traded in order to maybe get you certain picks to be able to build what you want to build and say, this is my fingerprint on it. How do you want to address the rumors on that?
AJ is a part of our future. We're not going to trade him.
Period. He's not going anywhere.
I look forward to coaching him.
With you also having one of the most innovative, creative minds when it comes to offense, being able to put certain guys in certain schemes in certain positions to attack certain guys, anything that you guys may see that you could possibly do to be able to mix up, to throw a change up in, to kind of keep everybody off their mark?
We feel like we got a good plan going into Sunday. They do have a lot of talented players, so you got to be aware of where they're at, and you got to do a great job controlling them as best you can. But we feel like we got a good plan in place going into Sunday.
When you do your game breakdown every week, I'm assuming it's done with what, end of Monday, Tuesday, probably
For the next opponent.
Yeah, for the next opponent. So after this game breakdown, after it was done, if you had to pick 3 keys in order to beat the Los Angeles Rams, what was those 3 things in your mind that popped out?
Well, we got to do a better job in the run game than what we've done in the past. Our red zone scoring efficiency hasn't been what it should be. And then they got some really great players that you got to make sure you're aware of and don't let them control the game.